today's episode of Smooth Sands of Monotony, I'm talking about kidney disease, what it's like to get that diagnosis, and how to take charge of your own care once you do. My guest shares her experience navigating the healthcare system and learning how to advocate for herself with their doctors. It's an honest, practical conversation about managing a chronic condition and staying empowered in the process. We are recording.
Yeah, I see that. I'll let chocolate burnate me.
You gotta move the other way so we have the burninator. There we go.
Yeah.
There's our burninator. Alrighty. Well, thanks for being on today on Smooth Sands Monotony. I'm here with Amanda Root. We're gonna kind of talk about the medical issues that are experiencing kind of going on in the United States, and in specific your medical condition, as well as how you've kind of had to deal with that and develop and grow from that. So I would actually like to kind of turn it over to you and give you an opportunity to kind of explain what's going on with you and what you are dealing with at this point in time.
Okay, so when I was a child and I was in first grade, I had what's called kidney reflux, and that's when the uterus from the bladder to the kidney, they might be like different lengths, and the urine backs up into the kidneys and starts to give it an injury. And back then, because I'm 50, there was only a 5% survival rate with surgery. And so I was on a cancer medication for a year after being in Shriners Hospital for a month. But it is claimed by nephrologists, and I don't necessarily believe it, that that was part of the cause. Now, we can fast forward to things when I was pregnant with my son, because I was an abused child. My husband at the time tried to kill me and our son because he was abusive. And after I had him, I had to raise him by myself, and he had broken my neck while I was pregnant. And he had threatened me when I didn't not to get treatment, but I had snuck off to the chiropractor, and it was confirmed that I had a chip in my cervical spine. So I treated it by taking NSAIDs, and NSAIDs filter through your kidneys. So I did that for many, many years, which gave me gastrointestinal problems where I did not absorb water very well. So I ended up with a rare form of colitis. And through being chronically dehydrated, that gave me kidney injuries. And also being a hairdresser, like holding it for so long, gave me kidney injuries. In 2001, I got sepsis, and I had a kidney injury then. And my kidneys were failing. And later in 2022, they were never telling me that my GFR, that's your filtration rate, that's the function of your kidneys, that it was going downhill within the past 6 years. And I realized by the time it was about May, around right before my birthday, that I was 2 nephrons, nephrons means kidney function. I was at 22% kidney function, which is 2 above the transplant list. And I was constantly being dismissed by my physicians. And I looked at my own blood work and looked it up, and I kind of looked at my chart, which is on my phone, and I was like, what's this?
Which is not what you want to be doing with your medical care. You kind of want that to be right in your face versus having to find it on your own.
Yeah. And that's how I found out. And I've already, let's say, fired to nephrologists, but I've gotten in touch with the American Kidney Fund. Um, there's there's different causes to it. I'm only a carrier of a gene that causes it, so I let my internist know, who my son goes to the same doctor, so I want to make sure that he doesn't have the gene. Right now I'm at 22% function, so I start to get symptoms. So right now, like, I'm lightly on the hunt for like a living donor because that can last 20 years instead of a deceased donor, which is 5. Um, and I go up to UAB now. Um, so it's hard and it makes you really tired. Like, it makes you not want to eat. Um, yeah, there's a lot of things that go wrong. It makes you have like osteoporosis, like, it makes your bones really
Damage of the
weak.
bones.
Yeah, I just had a spinal fusion and then the bones above that like collapse. And yeah, I mean, I like outside is like looks okay, but inside is just it's a dumpster fire.
Frog door burninated you.
Right? I mean, he's right there.
I know he is. The other
Yeah,
way.
yeah, mirroring, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Um, so I mean, as far as like actual causation, the you
they
would
don't know.
attribute it to kind of like a compounding thing of one after the other, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's
And
more of individual discovery that you found it in this one medical report at this one point in time.
yeah, it was me like looking through like my blood work and advocating for myself. And one thing that I did leave out is I got a super bug in my colon because I had uh that because I had the inflammatory bowel disease where I couldn't absorb water. So I would get UTIs and then they would give me an antibiotic and then so I had a transplant in my so
So
yeah.
you end up with kind of this cyclical nature of one thing.
Yeah. So and then after a while, like, I went through a hard time in life and I thought I could just like holistically, like spiritually, like take care of it. And like I was like doing karate and different martial arts and I thought I could control it, but I wasn't. And I like wasn't absorbing water and it was really a bad idea. So I just wasn't I wasn't helping myself. And finally I went to my doctor and I'm like, please put me back in remission. So yeah. I
So for somebody who doesn't know and maybe in a similar situation, what kind of symptoms would you eyeball to them to be aware of to start looking at? I mean, obviously there's them going and getting testing, but a lot of times to get a doctor to prescribe the testing, you almost have to present symptoms. Are there certain things that you experience that you would kind of eyeball somebody to? No.
most of the time it's asymptomatic until you find out. Like, I didn't know until like my blood work came out. I mean, like after work I was extremely tired, but I'm also a hairstylist for 31 years and we bust our butt. So like most patients don't find out until like they're at the point of dialysis. And I'm not. Like, I just happen to be like I'm a very proactive person because in healthcare it's extremely broken. So you have to advocate for yourself because doctors are so overwhelmed and busy. And they spend more time charting than they do seeing patients. And they're not going to like look at your life the way that you do. And so you have to look at like your labs and your things and like go onto your charts, because basically this is how my former physician told me in another state. Your doctor is like the coach of a baseball team and you are all the players. So, um
They can only do as many things as they can in a day.
Yeah. And they're not the miracle workers, so you have to do a lot of the work yourself. So if you're not compliant, they can't fix it. Like you can't go, "Hey doc, fix it." But yeah, there's a lot of people who are not symptomatic at all. And I was basically non-symptomatic. I was just tired. And being really tired is, I don't know, being really tired. Maybe I was old, you know.
It can come from many sources too. I mean,
Yeah,
how many people are on CPAPs or things like that to address
or
fatigue,
just work really hard. They're really tired.
or
Yeah.
life? I mean,
Yeah.
life just has a way of wearing you down, whether you like
Yeah.
it or not. So
So, I mean, a lot of times it really doesn't express symptoms. Like the the most that I get is like that I'm not hungry, and a lot of times I'm nauseous and I'm tired, but I don't really take naps. I just sleep for long periods, like at night. Um, and I'm just kind of slower to move. Um, but that's kind of,
it's
yeah.
kind of where it is. So one of those conditions that you don't really realize how far it's gone unless you're really almost at a critical point.
Yeah,
So
my bones are a lot more delicate. I know that because I broke a wrist and had my spine fused. So
yeah, that that'll do it. That'll teach you
yeah,
real quick of, oh well, this isn't how it's used to work.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So in relation to, so being an advocate for yourself, I mean, now that you have identified this, and what, I mean, what sources are you using for helping you determine what would lead you in the right direction? I guess is what I'm trying to, to get you where you need to go.
Well, it's funny because I feel that a lot of nephrologists are still dismissive and ableist, and I'll tell you, I think doctors in general, especially specialists or surgeons, are very ableist. And I don't think that they're ableist because they're ableist. I think they're ableist because what they have to go through in med school, like their residency and the amount of schooling, and then the sleep deprivation, and then the low pay, and then paying back their student loans. Like, if I can do it, you can do it, you know? And so, I feel often like nephrologists are playing God, um because like some of them will wait till you have like 5% function and then be like, "Okay, let's go ahead and put you on dialysis now." you know when
Is
like
that,
things.
well,
Hmm?
is that so much necessarily? I mean, from what I've seen from my dealings with the medical field, um, both from work and in personal, is, do you think that is necessarily so much the tried and true procedures that are handed down within the industry of what has been determined as, I mean, do you think this is something that's systematic coming from like an insurance component, or systematic coming from a teaching component, or just old ways of doing things compared to new ways of doing things?
I think that, well, I'm not really sure about that answer because I have called the American Kidney Fund about like things I should do. So I've switched nephrologists 2 times because if I don't like what I'm hearing or like how I'm treating, or I feel like I'm dismissed, then I can move on to somebody who I feel is treating me well.
Right.
So now I go up to UAB, but I did call the American Kidney Fund and speak to their counselors, and my husband's right. He's like, I should be seeing a nutritionist, but I'm a picky eater, so I should stop making excuses. that's on me. Um,
Right there with
and
you.
I
So
really like potatoes, so I shouldn't have potassium. So I shouldn't eat as many potatoes, but who doesn't love potatoes? Like I could live in a potato. Like
surprisingly, my daughter does not like potatoes.
what?
Mm-mm. I,
Is
I don't know whose daughter she actually is
Did
because
she come? Yeah, maybe she came from outer space or something.
maybe I mean yeah I don't know how
Someone's right.
you I don't know how you don't like potatoes. I mean they're even if you don't,
I
how do you
know.
hate
Yeah.
potatoes? So yeah,
How do you hate
completely.
anything made from potatoes? Like, yeah, there's things like the things that I like the most are like cross them off the list. Torture this, but
Most of mine are in the fried category, which is a whole different problem than a
Well,
kidney
yeah, that's
issue.
it. Yeah, that's also a no. Yeah.
Uh,
So, like eating like a teenage boy, that's a no. And I'm like, oh man, can you?
See, what we need to do is we need to flip this and then go me on the other side and you interviewing me about future heart issues from my eating habits. So,
Yeah. What I did learn, so the National Kidney Foundation, this is what helped me decide to go all the way to UAB and see a nephrologist there. So my internist, who is my primary as well, like one hand talks to the other. Um, so I see someone every 3 months and get blood work. So the nephrologist is like at UAB. He sees me every 6 months, and then he lets my internist see me every 3 months. And so, they get the blood work done, and they communicate with each other, and that's really nice. And also, when I go up to UAB, I like to go the day before a holiday because everybody cancels.
mm,
Like if you go before the day before Thanksgiving, and I know what his clinic day is Wednesday. It's just it's perfect.
see, inside knowledge right there.
Right. If you go see a doctor on a Wednesday, the day before a holiday like Thanksgiving,
Friday,
go
Friday,
do
Friday
that.
before a 3 day weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got people canceling. Yeah. Because they're gonna travel and see their family. They're not coming
Yeah.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. You
Yeah.
giving me a good idea.
So
You did.
the Kidney
Oh,
Foundation told me to get a nephrologist at and so did my husband's cousin told me to get a nephrologist at a teaching hospital, and the Kidney Foundation told me to get one at a teaching hospital and one that's no further than 50 miles from a transplant center, and that
okay.
I should be seen every 6 months.
Why? What was the
I mean
logical
every three
rationale?
months Huh? I'm sorry.
What was the logical rationale on that as far as why they
The
suggested
50
that?
miles.
Yeah. If,
Because if you make the transplant list, which uh as far as I know, as of now, I'm 2 nephrons from that. If you make the list and your name comes up, you have 24 hours to get to that
okay.
hospital and get a transplant. So
So having that 50
we're
miles is super important.
5 hours away, so being within 50 miles is extremely important. So if you're more than that, you're gonna you know really kibosh your chances for getting there. um
Well, and for Alabama, UAB used to be. I mean, I've been out of Alabama for a while, but they were the kind of premier place to be in Bama. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And this stage that I'm in is not stage 5, it's severe stage 4, so that means I can still have a living donor, which I can like submit for as long as I have a referral. And like there's also a program of donor swapping. So like if somebody is willing to donate to you and they don't match, but somebody also has a living donor, they can swap those donors. But
Kind of like a cascading effect. This
yeah,
one
but
goes here, this one goes here.
right, and the funds of the receiving donor are responsible for the bills, like the medical bills and the travel and everything of the giving donor. But there is a fund for the giving donor that pays like the travel, the medical expenses, the aftercare, all that stuff. And the cap on that is 350% over the federal poverty guideline.
Wow.
So that's very generous.
Speaking
So,
of like the donor component, so um, how does that process work? How would you explain that to somebody who doesn't understand at all? And to be honest, I understand it basically, but I don't. Treat me like I know nothing. And
yeah, so
how would you
I
explain that?
mean I don't know that much yet, and my internist is still working on it because my nephrologist was out of the country, but he's asking, like I started asking people to fill out forms. So you have to have a referral from your nephrologist, and then you can ask people to apply, and then they can apply, and you both have to get testing. And there's medication that you take before and after. Like I would have to take two different anti-rejection meds, and another person would have to take, I forget what type of medicine, for a little while, but the donor uh, would not have to take medicine for as long. So they, but the interesting thing is, and I just found this out because I do a lot of reading about it because I want to know,
Hmm.
um, that they don't take the recipient's other kidneys out. So when you get a transplant, you have three kidneys.
I worked with a woman who had three, or had,
Yeah,
I think she had four total because she had two transplants.
yeah.
Um,
She might have rejected one. Yeah,
what ended up happening is the new one started wearing out, and that she had replaced, and they had to put another one in.
yeah,
So she's been lucky in the fact that she's had two transplants, and last time I checked on her, she's still rocking along.
yeah.
So surprisingly, I never, like, I knew she had that, but I never really stopped to go too deep into it talking with her. To uh, I'm kind of disappointed I don't have more. Like, this is probably the longest conversation I've had in relation to kidney transplants, to um, and the whole experience, for somebody. So right now, are you seeing, is there any hope for lifestyle changes or anything else to change the status of your kidney, or is it just expecting a progression down over time?
Um, when you're, so there's so there's five stages, and if you're down to stage 3B, it is reversible. It's very hard to do. But if you're to stage 4, it's only downhill from there. So it's not reversible. It's a downward progression. So there are ways to slow it, and kidneys are the final boss of all the other organs. So like it causes like my heart to enlarge, and it causes like my liver to fail, and all this other stuff. And like morbidly, because I am interested in like the process of death, because it's normal to think about that. Like we think about birth and that's normal. But it's kind of like the Cadillac of death. Sorry about that. It's kind of like the Cadillac of death because you just get sleepy and a little bit of dementia, and it takes about a week to die, and then you die in your sleep without pain. And
Okay.
I say, and my husband's like, "Don't say that," and I'm like, "But you should be glad that you know."
It's one of the easier ways to go. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like a
it's not gruesome and painful, and like, yeah, it just I get a little bit of dementia and I'm really sleepy and then I die. Like, that's
hey,
cool.
my,
Like,
my
if you
dad
could,
always had a thing about freezing to death. He was like, yeah, you know what? When I go, I want to go like I'm just gonna go out, take a bunch of alcohol, go sit out in the snow and freeze to death. He's like, you're nice and warm right before you go, so I mean, you don't think anything about it. I'm like, and how many times have you frozen to death? And that
yeah,
kind of never really, you can't really ask the dead person how they feel in that last moment. But I mean, like for him, that was sadly he didn't get that opportunity to go.
most people actually do become euphoric and don't feel pain before death, like for a couple hours, and they don't die with pain. So,
There's been a lot of internet memes running around about that recently. I don't know if that's either
really,
indicating what I'm looking at or the algorithms. But yeah, it's a bunch of things from like nurses going, yeah, he's awake and feeling much better and eating now, and it's like,
yeah,
bad news.
that's like a sentience that they get for a short period of time, like maybe a day, that they're like walking around and talking and eating and like interacting with family, like right before
Everything
they
just
pass away.
shuts down.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
forget what it's called, but it happens very commonly. Yeah. But
So when we put down our first dog, it and I heard other people comment that this happened with them too. Like when we're like, okay, we got to do it. It's time.
yeah.
And we're taking him, and all of a sudden he's having like the best day for like the last year. It's like, what is going on? And it's like, no, this is fake. There's something like this is
Yeah.
not real. He's going to be right back into pain and everything else come the morning. So I mean, this isn't fair to him. So I mean, I think it happens even with pets. So
I think so too. Yeah.
that kind of went off on a dark little tangent, but I do agree with
Well,
you.
yeah.
You have to conceivably you have to deal with life and death, and if we are
Yeah.
ignoring one end of the spectrum, we are failing to embrace the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, it
Because
is part of life. I mean, there is a cycle of life where we do have to face it and embrace it, and we have to realize that we're all fallible. And I think every day we're living our legacy, so we might as well be our best that we can be, you know, whether we don't feel good or not. So we can choose to live the best legacy we can, or we can choose to be something else. But every day, sorry, my nose itches. Every day we are living our legacy. That's who we are. We're defining ourselves in each moment that we live.
there's I don't know if you know the musician out of Britain, Cosmo Jarvis. I found him through like NPR a bunch of years ago, but he
Yeah.
has a song called "Love This," and the line that always got me. I'm trying to find it. Um, uh, so um, I believe in heaven. I deny myself at death. Dying keeps me conscious of the way I waste my breath. And that line always, to ignore finality prevents you from enjoying the moment because you fear the
Exactly.
final. Yeah.
Yeah. I
But
watched
I,
a I watched a live podcast not long ago with a hospice nurse, because I kind of defined death for myself as like a big sleep, but I think she said it better than me. She's like, I'm spiritual a little bit, but she's like, I feel like death is a longing for a home that I don't know where it is, you know? I think that feels right.
I'm gonna think about that one.
Yeah.
Like it's there's some substance to it that is sticking, and my brain is just kind of going, how do I feel about that?
You're longing for home you don't like know.
You don't really want to go there, but
Yeah, like,
you know you
well, you
belong
do
there.
want to go there, like that you don't know you miss, you know? Like
I think it depends on where you are on the spectrum of
acceptance.
rationalizing life versus death.
I
Because I think a lot of people fear coming to that house. Uh,
Yeah, I think it changed for me when I took classes to volunteer for hospice and I didn't want people to die alone. And so it really gave me a perspective on it.
yeah,
So, you know, some people aren't afraid like at the end. And I didn't realize that a lot of people did not die a painful death. So, and I didn't know that like a lot of people's family abandoned them because they wanted to see them the way that they were before they passed away, and that they would just leave them there. So, like, I felt that holding vigil was like a very important thing. So,
it, yeah, yeah. It's unfortunate. Um,
yeah.
Man, we really veered off onto it.
We
There,
went deep there.
there's well, there's such a large canvas to paint on everything, and um, I mean, and you and I talked about this before we started, but one of the things that I always kind of want to do is also focus on uh, how how would you present to somebody else to not take a diagnosis and treat it as a death sentence or treat it as a finality, but instead look at it as a moment to continue living or to that this isn't the end. This is a moment, but this is not the end. The end will come eventually to all of us. But how
Right.
do you make yourself enjoy those moments between here and there to the best of your ability? And what have you done to do so?
Very
Um,
good. Um, I really think that unless I'm like hit by a car, I mean, I believe that really I was gonna die by like stepping off a curb because I just have survived so many things.
I never expected to make it out of my 20s. So I mean,
Yeah,
I've beaten those odds.
I couldn't picture being an adult as a child.
I can't picture imagine being an adult now. So I don't know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
Um, for me, I knew mine was a death sentence, like once I like read about it, but I accepted that it was a slow death sentence and I would accept it so I could live my best life with it. And I believe it could make me a better person. And I could begin even more like creating, like, not that it made me at that point create my legacy, but it made me more strongly believe to create my legacy. Like it gave me purpose, it gave me more purpose.
Chance to
So
leave an effect on the world and
yes.
feel like you've had a
Right.
impact.
Right. And you know, like I don't keep score on how many or who I impact. I just do it because I do it. Um and I do like what I think might impact positively as it comes. And sometimes I'm looked at as a joke and sometimes I'm not. And I do care, you know, but sometimes I don't. Um but you know, it's funny because you know I'm not gonna name names, but I was at a funeral last year, and the person who passed away was formerly a family member, and not a good person. Not a good person at all. And had brought in, a pastor and uh a group of important people saying that he was going to heaven, and I held myself back from rolling my eyes, and my son was there. um he's 22, and I'm just like, people come and say the best things even if they know that in life you were a raging, you know
Problem. We'll leave it at that.
yeah,
Problem.
yeah, problem. um and even 3 days before he died, like, he berated my son and I, like, in text, and ghosted him, and he said, I don't want to die in silence. Like, he had another relative that my son did that to, and I had nothing to do with it, but of course I was blamed for it. And he did die that way. He sealed his own fate by his behavior. And it was like, oh, this guy was wonderful. He wasn't. Like, what? I understand, like, respecting someone, but, like, sometimes I think we should just tell the truth.
I think that is a kind of, and I've talked in other forums in relation to it. I think that's a kind of a running theme that in in many ways, I think it kind of goes back to the way we look at our ancestors. Um, and one of the reasons why I think the South has a hard time letting go of the Civil War is it's hard to look back at your history, family history, and go, okay, the person I knew may have been a good person, but they then did these bad things. And so what we end up doing is we whitewash it.
Hmm.
And I mean, you look at figures like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. I mean, they were problematic. Like you can't just say they were good people. They may have had good qualities. They may have done good things, but at the end of the day, they're still human. They still have problems. They are still complex. They are still deep. And to sum it up to good, bad is erroneous.
Right.
And the that I'm currently on like a railing thing against binary thinking of good bad, because I think that's a lot of the problem that we're running into is, okay, well, people are taking advantage of the welfare system. Okay, well, they're bad, therefore the system is bad, therefore we got to get rid of it. That doesn't make a damn bit of sense. USAID. I was talking with somebody earlier today and they were railing against USAID, and I'm like, but here's the problem: like, USAID actually does a lot of good. So you hate a couple programs, you're going to trash the whole thing. That's you've determined good bad, and everything is bad if there's just one bad component instead of it being shades of gray.
Right.
And I think when it comes to people passing and the way we think about them, we do the same thing.
Yeah.
We try to protect our mental state by shielding that instead of just realizing that the person was complex, they had problems, and whether we like them or not, like, that is who they are, and we have to address their legacy as what they were in a holistic approach, which brings us back to the medical field, in relation to looking at who we are and receiving our treatment and everything else holistically. That, you're not, you had talked about, going and using incense and teas and or whatever other remedies at the time, trying to solve other issues, and then the compounding effect. And two, you got in with a doctor, and how it sounds, how you have your GP working with the nephrologist, you have a team working at looking at you holistically, taking the
Right.
whole approach. Ironically, I think I just summed up like the whole thing of like how to take care of yourself.
It's
Holistic
funny
approach.
because both of them believe in treating things holistically before they do with modern medicine, but they always go, please ask first. Because you get these people who are like, oh, this is good for cleaning out this. And it's actually like, let's say in my case, a nephrotoxin.
Yeah.
And, they just say, hey, check with me first, you know?
I,
Like,
look
yeah,
at what possibly could occur versus just and
right.
I mean there's a lot of bad medicine being prescribed on the internet. People who are like, oh well, this worked for so and so, and it's like, well, but that person had something different going on and something else. Um,
Yeah,
one thing
there's
I
some things I don't understand that I wouldn't judge, but like I think that there are some things that are a bit unethical.
there's a lot that's unethical.
Yeah.
um, yeah, so. But without me getting into that and probably getting myself into some legal trouble, I will avoid my commentary on that. Uh, one thing I know we've covered a lot of stuff, and there's way more to cover. And a whole, I would love to have you back to discuss other topics as well. But I do want to hit on some things, especially resources for people who maybe are finding out that they're kind of going down that route or are finding out they are now in the similar situation as you.
Right.
What kind of resources? I know you said the what was it, the American Kidney Fund or National Kidney Fund? Um,
There's an American Kidney Fund, there's a National Kidney Fund, and locally there's Mobile Kidney Fund.
okay,
Um,
and that's
they're
for
all
Mobile, Alabama
connected, and
specifically.
the Mobile Kidney Fund is through United Way. I know I asked Matt, like I go to the waterfront restaurant every Monday night and we play bingo, and uh called uh I called the United Way and asked them if they would collaborate and we could do a month of bingo nights to raise money for them. But
Yep, cool.
we do the kidney walk for the Mobile Kidney Walk every March.
Okay.
Um and like we take sponsorships and we walk like 3 miles. Sometimes it's not even that much. Doesn't really matter. We just raise money to do it. And that gives money to kidney patients who need dialysis, because it's really hard. Like Social Security disability does do compassionate care, but they do it once you have to have like 2 rounds of dialysis, and dialysis is very expensive. And otherwise, applying for disability takes like 30 months or more. And it is extremely frustrating and hard on the household. It helps pay for rent and bills and food and, other needs that people need while they're going through this, because it's hard to work through, you know, and your bones become more fragile and you get really tired, like really tired, like the further you go
Awesome.
along. Yeah.
I will. Something I do know about Social Security disability. Um, there are a couple things that are like immediate qualification first run through.
Compassionate care. Yeah.
One of those is renal failure, but
Yeah.
I forget the threshold on it, but it has to be pretty severe, and
It's
they'll green light you in the first run through. But other
it's
than that,
15, it's like under 15 GFR.
okay,
So if you get your blood work done like regularly, and you go to a comprehensive metabolic panel and scroll all the way down to the end, yours should be no lower than a 60 at any age.
okay,
And if it's any lower than a 60, you're in some stage of kidney disease. So like right now I'm at a 22, so like so a it so a what is it? A 30 to like a 30 and yeah, up to a 30 is like stage 3B. Um,
And then
so
below that,
yeah,
it's
so
4.
yeah. So
Okay.
if you are a 60 and under, then yeah, you like asked to be seen by a nephrologist
So
because
important thing for everybody out there:
yeah,
go get your metabolic panels done,
yeah.
whether you like it or not. Go get it checked out.
Yeah, like
Those numbers
and
mean
check it
something.
yourself. Check it, like
Yeah.
don't wait for your doctor to look at it, or have some kind of emergency or some symptoms. Like check it yourself.
Well, and the other component of that is have it done regularly, so you have a baseline, so that you can compare the last
Yeah,
one to the next one. And yeah, also check your white blood count. Important, because that'll tell you
and
whether or
your
not
red
you're
blood
infected.
count, because you
Yeah,
get anemic and that's what makes you so tired.
there you go.
So I have to get infusions or take iron tablets, and the iron tablets are like no bueno. They're not fun, and you get nauseous
Horse
too.
pills.
Huh?
Are they horse pills?
They just hurt your stomach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
No, that kind of unfun. Okay.
yeah.
I was
But
thinking like they were those big monster pills that
no, they
yeah.
just hurt your stomach. Um, they're just not fun. Yeah, but yeah, you just have to
If you
look
really
at.
think about it, eating a big chunk of iron doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun either. I mean, you know, that
Yeah,
doesn't sound pleasant.
I mean, I didn't realize my iron was low, but it was like I didn't. I would have thought that I'd have caught it because when I was pregnant with my son, they're like, "Oh, if you feel like eating cat litter or like clay or something, like let us know." And I would just like daydream of like being in a big room of gray clay, and it'd be like, I could eat this, but I won't. And that was that was a big warning sign.
Okay. Hadn't
And then
heard
they're
that one
like, "You're anemic," and I'm like, "That's why I was having those daydreams."
before. Didn't know cat litter and clay was a trigger.
Well,
Like something new.
they tell you, yeah, but they only tell that to pregnant people. So
Ah,
I mean, I
you
didn't
have to
want to
be in
eat.
the room for that one. They gotcha.
Yeah, I didn't have a cat either. So
um, so probably as like a parting thing, what besides donation to funds, and I will put at least those 3 funds out there as information for everybody. What's parting comment you would like to present to everybody out there about where you are, where you're going, or just something inspirational?
um, every year we Pete and I, my husband and I, we do the Mobile Kidney Walk, and we're basically doing it for other people, not for ourselves, because we're not in that type of need yet. Um, but I would say, like with your annual checkup, please ask your physician to like do panels of blood. And if you don't have it, like there's on your mobile device, there's a chart, sign into it and look at the results. Because it will come up and it will flag things that are abnormal. So, you've got to be your own advocate, um, because sometimes, a lot of times, they're overwhelmed, the doctors are, and they overlook a lot. So, and sometimes it's not necessarily their fault, they're just overwhelmed.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
there's a lot going on in the world, and um,
But
actually,
if you
there is
can,
one thing I wanted to I forgot to actually bring up before I started wrapping up. There was one thing I wanted to cover, um, and this does affect actually the Medicare, Medicaid, scientific testing funding coming from the federal government.
yeah,
Um, I know a lot of people I've talked with on other topics, this has been something of interest, concern for them as well. Is the kidney funding and testing being affected like many other uh, groups out there as well that you're aware of?
What do you mean?
So I know some people who have like cancer and stuff, and the cancer funding has dried up based on the fact of the current administration ending up drying up a lot of the funding for testing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um, that I don't really know of.
okay.
But I do know that like pretty much every nephrologist that you see, like one, like your blood work will show like if you have kidney disease. And when you see a nephrologist, immediately what they do is they give you like a 24-hour urine so that they can get your accurate numbers, and they do genetic testing. Um and I mean they do a lot of testing, and then like I go to UAB and they do testing in real time. So usually when you see a nephrologist they do it a week before,
Okay.
but at a teaching hospital they do it an hour before. So it's actually like as it happens.
Okay.
So I don't know if they're doing any research like to find it. I know it's not curable. Um I don't think that they're working on that. I think they're working on treatments for different types of kidney disease like polycystic or like sorts of like nephrotic syndrome, like
Okay.
to manage that. But I don't think they're looking to cure the kidney disease. I think they're looking to cure symptoms of certain types.
Things that cause the kidney disease, not necessarily the kidney disease itself.
Yeah,
So, okay,
yeah,
gotcha. Yeah, I didn't know if there was any overlay with that. It was one of those topics that I didn't know if you were aware of, because I know it's. I mean, some of the people that I've talked with or interviewed, the the funds
yeah.
for analysis is starting to seriously impact where people can get care. And I mean, it is going to affect people because of Medicaid and Medicare. As those funds dry up for people, that it's going to restrict their ability to get medical treatment. So,
A lot of
I
that
think,
is a lot of that is genetic, like polycystic is usually genetic. And I think IgA is I think it's genetic. And I don't know what kind I carry, but I do carry a gene that causes kidney disease, but
okay.
I don't, I don't actively have it. But I told, I told my internist to tell one of the other doctors who my son sees. I was like, I don't know if it's inappropriate, but look, I carry this one gene, because he's friends with one of the nephrologists that did see me. So he's like, that's not inappropriate. I'll just write it on her chart. So,
It,
I want my son to get tested to see if he has this gene, to see if, there's anything they can advise him in advance. So,
or make life changes now to address things. To, I mean, address it before it becomes, you kind of caught it at a uh, you caught it honestly probably early compared to what most people, from what you've indicated. So, um,
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of people who go in like, and during COVID, they would end up in stage 5 and have to be dialysized, and like it happened that way.
yeah,
Or people like I think the last straw was me having sepsis and being in the hospital for 6 days and then a PIC line for like 3 weeks. Um because I don't know how, but I contracted MRSA, and like I
everybody
was going to
knows MRSA's just
I almost went
everywhere.
to work with that, and they were like, you would have been in a coma by this afternoon, because I was just like, I called work and I was just like, I'll just be like an hour late. I just need a different antibiotic.
No, you will not.
Yeah.
You'll be
And they're
unconscious.
like, "You're not going anywhere." So, and they had to operate on it and everything. And so, like, one of the things like that made me check is like they were putting me under, like, to debride the abscess that I had. and like they're like, "What about our kidneys?" And I like sat up and I'm like, "What about them?" And they're like, "Oh, well, they're handling it upstairs, don't worry." And I'm like, "Well, they didn't tell me that."
You're
So
probably also a little delirious at the time too. So
yeah, but I heard it. They didn't
yeah,
tell me that though, so
yeah, that,
you know
that kind of should have
I
been a
mean,
follow up.
yeah, it should, they should have said something. So, and they didn't. I know that they didn't, because I mean, Pete and I weren't married at the time, but he didn't leave my side, so he would have heard them say something.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
goes back to your earlier statement. You got to be your own advocate. You got to look at
yeah,
you got
it,
to look
yeah,
at your own medical records and actually see what's going on and what's being said. So
yeah. Sometimes you got to make people do their jobs. I have
sadly,
lots of
yes.
stories about that.
That's the thing you don't want to hear about talking about with doctors, but yes, sometimes you
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
gotta be on them. Well, let's wrap it up. I want to thank you very much. This was uh, entertaining, enlightening. I know the topic is heavy, but I do appreciate you going into it and making it something that is digestible. This is not something that normally a lot of people deal with.
Well, thank you.
And again, I want to reiterate for everybody out there: if you can, donate, volunteer, do what you can. At the end of the day, we're all in this together, and we got to take care of each other. So
Yeah, and in March, we always do the kidney walk, and I don't care who you give money to, because it all goes to the same place, and it goes to help kidney patients. So that's always a good thing. So, like, I know it sounds dark, but I've met this with radical acceptance. So, you know, but there's people more in need than I am right now, and that's who I want to support. And someday that might be me. So I think that's really important. So
I'm with you.
I'm while I'm still able, I'm there to support them.
Well, I think you're a good advocate for it. So keep
Thank
it up.
you.
Keep it up.
A
All right.
champion being
Fight
burninated.
on. Yes. And go Trogdor and burninate people.
All right.
All
All
right.
right. It
Wrapping it
was
up.
good talking to you. Thank you, Ryan.
Hold up.